Hey everybody, figured I'd get you guys a L9000 update. I got the back end here, showing you the back end. I just got her up on blocks there. Wheels just spin, so I'm going to pull the rears off. The reason it's red is I just wanted to wash it, better wash second time around since I pulled it out of the bush basically. And I noticed with really hot water, the paint came right off like it was a thick layer of dirt or something. So I basically, well, this is like great for me. It couldn't be better really, the outcome. Because I was gonna paint the frame, which I'm prepping right now. And I noticed that, yeah, it was peeling off, so this is great. I'm peeling it. It looks to be back to the base primer that was originally on there, or maybe it was resprayed, because I do notice that someone masked this light off, both lights, and sprayed, and they definitely did a spray bomb because it's very thin, like using aerosol cans. Don't know the history, so I don't exactly know what was going on there. Like, it was repainted obviously, and it was fading like crazy. So this is kind of what it's like right now. I got all the grease out. The top of the fifth wheel's got new grease on it, so I didn't bother. But underneath and everything, it's hard to see, but I cleaned it all up. I did the best I could with the pressure washer. That's another reason I'm pulling the wheels off, is I'll be able to get in there easier. And then I'll be able to do the hubs too. Because it looks like the backs were sprayed and the fronts weren't, because they're very, very, like, I can't get it off with the washer. So yeah. The tanks as well were redone at one point, but I'm going to be taking those off anyway and fixing these battery boxes, and the straps are broken on one side here, so needs a little TLC. But the cap inlet there, like where you'd fill, I could see enough inside the tank. It's completely clean, no rust, nothing. So these tanks are in really good shape. They just need a little love. So as for the deck here, this is all welded on, so I'm not going to bother taking this off. But hopefully with the wheels off, I can get inside this cross member a bit better from underneath. And same with that side, I need to do a little bit more. But overall though, it's looking pretty good. It's still wet because I just had washed it. Spent a couple more hours. I've probably got about 6 hours into washing right now, which is nothing compared to sanding or sandblasting. I mean, sandblasting is so messy, and yeah. And I wasn't even going to do anything. I was just going to put trim clad over, but it seems to be better. So I will pull these, at least I'll pull the rears off today, and I'll give you guys a look. And yeah, so I was about to take this off, and I thought this would be a good demonstration of what I was talking about in the last video about Dayton wheels. So at this point, I've loosened them all off. As you can see, there's daylight through on all of them, but you can see the wedges are still tight in there. And this is what I was talking about, where it becomes very dangerous, because if you pull these lugs right off, or the bolts, I mean the nuts, sorry, these wedges have the potential to fly out and hit you, and that's where they become very dangerous. As you can see, that's kind of like the design inside, the inner wheel, and there's a spacer, and then there's the outer, and it's just basically a series of ramps that clamp together. Like, it's a pretty simple design. So if I hit it, it's most likely going to come loose, and I may need a little bit of, like, a pretty good force to do it, or they might pop easy. So I'm all loose. We'll see. What I ended up having to do is just hit on them like this, and whack it a couple times. You can see them slowly release, and they all came loose to the point where I can see, you can wiggle them. That's what you want on all of them. You want to be able to wiggle them like that. They're completely loose. This one fought me a little bit, probably because it was the last one that was holding everything together. Yeah, it was all right. So what I had to do was I knew that there wasn't a whole lot of tension on there anymore. So I slowly started backing it off. You can see there's a couple threads showing there. That's okay, as long as you're very careful that you don't go too far and the nut just spins off because of the impact. And eventually with a little bit of love taps and pulling it out a little more, it became loose. So all of them are loose now. So now it's safe to remove the nuts completely, kick the rim a little bit, and I'll follow the bolts and the nuts. Sorry, that's how it looks like. And this is the ramp, or I don't actually know what this is called. I keep forgetting, but I don't know. Whatever, wedge, I guess. It's a little different than the front. The front basically just holds it on, per se. This is more of a wedge. See, so basically it goes on like this. Goes in like that. And you can see how that works. Basically squeezes that rim on there. So simple. Clean them up, clean the threads before you put it all back together. This is how easy it is to remove them. You can see that? It's ready to fall off. It's very hard to do with one hand, but yeah, you can see the rim it's coming off. And this is that ring I was talking about. That's just to space the wheels. This is with the rim off. Yep. Sitting there. This is that spacer ring. I guess a word of caution, I don't think it would, but I would say a word of caution, just be careful. This rim might be under a little bit of, like the one that's still on here might be under a little bit of pressure from this ring. I don't think I ever would, but you know, be careful. Whack it with the hammer. Be careful not to damage it like I did right there by whacking it like this. Try to be careful if you do, maybe whack it in like that or up on here. Try to be careful. It doesn't take much, but it is stuck on there pretty good. I can move it, but it's got to get past all this bullshit here. So you got to finagle it and pull that off, and then you pull this rim, the rim that's still on here, off same way, and that's that. So I'm gonna finish this side and that side. I got both rims off, and that spacer. That spacer was a fight to the end. Wasn't bad though. Yeah, thoroughly inspect, and I noticed something which is really unfortunate, but it's cracked. The lip is cracked. They'll never pass safety, so I don't think you're allowed to weld these. So besides, I wouldn't anyway. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. And now I have more room to get in here and remove the rest of that paint with the pressure washer. Definitely easier. Yeah. All right. They're all off. This side was, well, I wouldn't say a nightmare, but man, 45-pound sledge had to get involved. We'll just say that. And look at all that dirt. It's like a fine powder, eh? It's a farm truck, so. Yeah, the bolts were tight as fuck. I had to use a 1-inch impact. Wedges came off okay. I had to bash the outer tire to get off. With just a normal hammer, I was able to get it. The inner, I spent about 15 minutes with that fucker right there. That sledge. Didn't seem like it was moving at all, and eventually it started moving a little bit, a little more. And yeah, it was a fight the whole way. So sometimes they're easy, like that side. I can get away with using my little hammer here, and sometimes you got to bring out the big boy. So I did kind of just inspect this just very roughly. It looks good, but obviously I'll know if there's cracks once I clean it all up. Yeah, that the other side's unfortunate, but this side looks okay. So now it's time to pressure wash the back end, and maybe I'll start laying a little bit of paint on, see how that looks. So stay tuned for that, I guess. Alrighty, sun's out. Pressure wash the rims a bit. of course they look super clean, and then when they dry it looks like shit again, so whatever. Be painting those rims white as well before I put them back on. And this is where I got so far. Add a little bit of paint, see how it looks. That's it for today. As you can see, it's still wet. A lot of the water is coming out of the crevices and stuff. So I don't want to do that. It's not worth rushing, and then there's water trapped in there, and that's just not going to be good in the long run. So, but yeah, I started painting some of the stuff I knew was completely dry. I had blow dried and everything, and cleaned up with some rags and whatnot. And it looks pretty good. I gotta say, it almost looks like brand new. Like, I don't know about how the video turns out, but I'm pretty impressed, I have to say. It's just I'm just using this trim clad gloss black oil-based paint. Couldn't really find much on YouTube anyway about doing frames. I just know that a lot of guys use trim clad paint for outside metal and stuff that's maybe still a little bit rusty, and they have no issues. So it goes on pretty thick. This is the first coat. I'm probably gonna do 2 for sure, maybe 3, but I don't know if 3 is really necessary since there still is kind of a primer on there. Yeah, so I still have to deal with this hub now. Don't know what I'm gonna do about that yet. But other than that, I'm gonna clean up the other hub and do that one, paint that, paint these spacers, paint the rims white, paint everything inside and out. I started removing the tail lights here. This one came off nice. This one broke a bolt. You can see right there, it's busted. I think I'm on focus. There you go. I tried the other ones, they were tight, so I figured, you know what? I'm not replacing these lights. I think they're pretty expensive. So I'm leaving that one on. It's just how it goes sometimes. Like, I'm not doing some show quality restore here, so, but I am trying to make it look as nice as I can. I noticed that there's some runs here, which is pissing me off, but hopefully the second coat will take care of that. Yeah, it's just too wet to paint completely right now, so. And then I'll come back maybe tomorrow or the day after, and I'll be able to see what the dry times are, kind of. So I'll be using the same brand of paint for the rims as well, because I have brand new rims on the front that are white, and I want to match them. And well, that's kind of how Dayton's are, is white and black. So not always, but I think that's pretty common. So yeah, that's it for today. Let this baby dry, and let the paint dry, see how that comes out when it's dry, and continue. I'm gonna probably, the next time around, I'm gonna be working on the inside first. For obvious reasons. You don't want to be leaning over a wet frame trying to do inside work. So, and I'll probably go inside from the bottom, no, from the top down. Yeah, I did a little bit on the 5th wheel here, but that's another thing I got to do, is tape up all the grease fittings. I just did a little bit for fun, and I still need to tape up that grease fitting there. So the same with like a lot of the fittings on the chassis. I got to tape up stuff I want to not paint. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. So I guess I will see you guys around. Next video will be an update on this thing. So, catch you guys later. Have a good one.